Hello there, Bonnie. What would you say would be a good name for our YouTube radio show?
Nothing but worry.
I think that's a damn good name. And what would you guess would be the number episode we are on right now?
1,323,000.
Damn close. It's 131. We got about the last week's episode and the one before that. Somebody watched them or listened to them and sent me these bizarre comments saying that they were creepy crap. So,
And I told you exactly why that happened. You've been commenting a lot online lately, and when they do that, they click through the link to you, and they find something, and it's just trolling you. And
no, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can. I don't think you can track people just through their comments alone.
Yes, you can. You go through. And
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Saying. Wait. Well, anyway. So anyway, I responded to to the guy like this. Well, I appreciate your comments, sir. I'm most gratified. He replied to that. He said that was entirely my intention, sir. Good day to you. So he was just being funny. He wasn't trying to be an asshole. He was just trying to be, jokey, trolling with me, which I don't mind. If somebody's being hostile, that's a whole different story.
I think that you probably draw some attention with your comments online. Tell me about some of your comments this week.
I do a lot of fundamentalist Christian comments. I do a lot of anti-Trump comments. I do a lot of anti-Republican comments. But those are the negative things I say. The positive things I say, I write stuff like, "Oh God damn, this is a great piece of music," or "This is a great scene from this movie," or whatever, or stuff like that. Anyway, how you doing today, Bonnie?
Meh.
How's your physical decrepitude?
Physical decrepitude. That is the phrase that pays this week. I've been in excruciating pain, and I don't know what to do. I've been drinking more than ever because I can't deal with the pain.
More than ever.
Well, I mean, I'm up to having 3 to 4 serious drinks a week. And, I mean, I'm not giving over to alcoholism or anything like that, but when I am in absolute tears and curled up in a ball because I'm in so much fucking pain, yeah, I need something to take the edge off of things because taking over-the-counter medicines as the doctors prescribe or don't prescribe doesn't cut it. And, I mean, I'm doing all the pain packs. I do the hot soaks. I do the creams, and there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a long series of hurdles to jump, but I think what you're going to have to do is get a referral to this person, then a referral to that person before you finally get any kind of serious results.
We were getting out of the car today, and I mean, I seized up, my muscle seized up my leg, and I couldn't move my fucking leg. And I mean, I've been dragging one of my legs around. I don't know what they expect. It's just like, oh, you've got arthritis. I'm sorry, there's got to be something more than fucking arthritis.
Yeah.
My muscles are seizing. They're becoming rigid, immobile.
A physician shouldn't have the attitude of, well, you'll just have to deal with it. You'll just have to learn to live with it. That's not the right attitude. They should take your plea for help seriously. When you say, no, listen, I'm not a child. I'm not a drug addict. When I say that
these things, and they don't fucking listen.
Well, you're going to have to get a different doctor.
I'm going to have to. This is not working.
It's bullshit, is what it is. I'll tell you something sort of related. When I had that, not long after I started working at the post office, I started having those headaches again, and they said, this is probably an inaccurate, I probably had unnecessary surgery, but that's beyond the point at this point. Had to have a second surgery on my pituitary gland. All right, so it's time for the surgery. Go down to the hospital. I'm going to the procedure of getting it, checked in, getting ready. And I'm sitting, this woman comes over to sit with me to go through some paperwork. And my head starts to I had these horrible headaches. And she's talking, and I said, "Hold on a second, I gotta take a pain pill. My head's killing me." So I'm getting the Lortab or something, whatever the hell it was, getting it out. And she goes, "Those take 45 minutes to kick in." And I thought, so I shouldn't take it because it'll take a while to kick in? What are you trying to say here? I don't understand what? It makes no sense. Oh, well, I guess I just won't take one. They'll just sit here and suffer.
I remember I was watching Justified, the TV series, and at one point there is a trailer park of hookers or something at this one place, and they are crushing up Lortabs and snorting them to get the effects.
Get it fast? Yeah.
Because it's absorbed into the mucosal membranes that way. And I'm like, this tells me these people are really fucking desperate.
They're also used to that
higher
sort of
levels.
They have they've figured out all the angles. I thought about something 2 days ago. Would be a great idea. THC infused lip balm. Put it on your lips. Nobody knows, and it just gets drawn in through your skin, your tongue, lips, gums. Anyway,
yeah, it's gotten to the point where I had to have a blood transfusion several years ago because of bleeding ulcers. I got so anemic, and they told me don't go on ibuprofen ever again. So, guess what I've been taking for pain lately? Ibuprofen, because the Tylenol 650s have not been cutting it. And all the other over-the-counter stuff has not been cutting it. The pain patches don't cut it. The pain creams don't cut it. All this is over-the-counter crap that's at 1 to 4%, and it's absorbed through the skin. And if you're lucky, maybe something helps relax a muscle a little bit. But when my muscles go rigid in my legs and I can't fucking move, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I'm reading this book by Dawn Powell called Angels on Toast, written in 3940, somewhere in there. And somebody in the book has a headache or something, and says she took 3 aspirin. And I just thought, that's all you had back then? Look, I've never found aspirin to be of any use whatsoever. And besides which, it tears your stomach up. Now, I take a baby aspirin every single day, but that's
Coated.
That's coated, and also it's not for pain, it's for heart. Yeah, exactly. But I pity these people taking aspirin. People used to talk about aspirin.
What were the ones that you would have, the powder? The powdered aspirin?
God damn it, you had to ask me that.
Sorry. Anyway, go on.
But the time period where aspirin was seen as this miracle drug that to take away pain, Jesus Christ, what a horrible.
But if you'd rolled back about 40 years, you had a period still where you had laudanum that was being given.
Yeah.
1900 or prior. And it was just a tincture sometimes you put into a drop of water. And of course that's an opioid.
Well, the problem with laudanum is it has alcohol. It's basically opium that they've dispersed through alcohol. So, I mean, I couldn't take it. I'm an alcoholic.
Another thing that happened during the industrial age, in Britain in particular, there were what were called gin whores, where women would basically sell themselves for a little bit of money and a shot of gin.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder how much of this self-medicating was going on at that point.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
Because people didn't have any real way to deal with pain. They didn't have access to good health care. And so you would have problems that would get worse. And as they exacerbate, you're having to deal with a number of issues. And I'm sure pain was right up there at the forefront. And if you could get a shot of gin, that takes the edge off. I know, because I like G&Ts.
Well, I think there's always been this prevalent idea running through a lot of people's heads that you just have to deal with pain. That this is just, humanity is made to suffer. I mean, I'm sorry. Finally, people are beginning to wake up, in the last 40 years or so. No, pain is not good, or no, suffering is noble. That's all a bunch of bullshit.
This week, I got a solicitation through our healthcare provider. Whenever the doctor submits a report about, what services you receive, they're apparently ticking a box that says experiencing pain, because I got something that says, have you suffered from chronic pain for more than 3 months? Sign up for our program. And the worst part was, I have to have an app on a cell phone with face interaction. I have a 10-year-old cell phone. I live in a dead zone on the side of a hill in a hole 2 miles from a cell tower with no access. I have a computer at home that is technically past its update status. I'm not in a position to receive this service, which may be free to people like me, because we have such a shitty infrastructure system that I don't even have visual communication on my computer. I don't have any type of camera or anything like that. The monitor is ages old, the computer is ages old. We are on fucking DSL. Our upload speed is less than 2 megabits per second. We're lucky to be able to stream anything at all off of YouTube. I don't think people realize you can live half an hour from the state university and be completely cut off.
Well, I don't think that a lot of these techno wizards realize that there's going to come a breaking point where people go, no, I shouldn't have to download an app on my phone so I can run my fucking washing machine.
Well, that happened recently. Walmart sent me an email saying, when you go to pick up your groceries, you will need to pair your phone with the Walmart person there. And I got 1-800-WALMART in India on the phone after repeatedly going, no AI, human being, human. And I told them, I said, where we live, there's no point in having a cell phone. But I haven't updated it. You don't seem to understand. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my ID. I'm going to show you my ID. And I'm going to show you a printout of the email I get. Yeah, because that's what I get. And they made a note on my account. So
yeah, but your objections to it shouldn't be limited to just the practicalities of it. It should also be. You should also
thing.
Exactly. You should be allowed to make a philosophical stance and say no.
I have downloaded.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I've downloaded 0 apps to my phone over the years
exactly.
Because I know that they have this tracking software, and they have software which data mines everything that I have. So if my phone is synced to my Google account, for example, then they would have access to whatever accounts that I have attached to my online status and any saved passwords. Right now, I'm setting up the kids with permanent files to deal with their financial records and permanent records, etc. And one of the first things I mention is do not sync your phone to any of your banking information. Don't do it. Don't save your fucking passwords on your computer, because it's got everything they need for you to go to that computer site and for them to get that password. And if you've got your phone, and your phone is your secondary source for identifying, confirming identity, then when you need a secondary ID, it says, oh, send the code to this phone number. If they got that phone, they have that code, they have your safe passwords, they have all the prompts for any websites that you have, and you save data. And I'm not going to go and just hand over everything. It's as stupid as leaving the front door open or leaving the front door unlocked or coming and saying free for all on the side of the road, this way, and pointing into your house, You just don't do it. But people willingly put this crap on, from shopping things to Pokemon Go to any type of music services, etc. And that's the reason you get targeted ads.
Well, I'll tell you something.
And you're funny because you don't keep any of your YouTube history. I don't keep my YouTube history. They don't know how to market to us when I'm able to get onto marketing. But see, the thing is they do know, because you have signed up for YouTube with an email account. They know your general age, your gender.
Well, I was about to say.
And believe it or not, places like Gmail scan all of your emails, and they find out what you have, whether it's sex things, or medical things, or financial things. They are going to find a way to target you.
Well, what I was going to say is, number one, I am becoming more and more of a standout, because basically everybody I work with is on his or her phone the whole shift.
Yeah.
Not talking maybe, but listening to something, or maybe talking.
Peter and Reed's bosses have had to fire people or write up people at the hospital because they are so caught up in their phones and working at the hospital. You just can't do that. Number one, you can record patients privately through a phone, and they have to ensure people have their privacy protected. Number two, they have to be able to communicate with you. And Peter said one guy got fired for having headphones on all the time in his department. Reed said one of the guys got written up in her department because he was on the phone all the time, dealing with anything from, personal calls, bets, downloads, watching stuff, etc. And he's supposed to be stocking the surgical wards, or dealing with the transplant stuff.
The other thing I was going to say is, it's bad enough that even with the limited, whatever. But anyway, the point is, it's bad enough that I'm getting ads for boner pills and find the love of your life in Thailand, or there was another one, and it's like they don't really. I haven't looked for boner pills. I haven't looked for a soulmate in Guam, but
they think
well, he's about this age and he appears to be straight, so he'll probably is gonna want this or that.
And he probably skews, living in this area, he probably skews Republican, so he's probably going to want a trad wife. And since most American women won't put up with that shit.
Well, it was interesting. You, earlier today, I guess you were looking at the university newspaper, but you had left up an article on the screen about this guy who was, I can't remember what kind of actives. He was a food forager. He lived on just food that he foraged for, and he had come to town, I guess, to give a speech about how you too can go off the grid if you have to, or need to, or want to. And that there's still, Well,
I was curious. I didn't click through because I wasn't that interested in him, but I was wondering if he does dumpster diving as well, which is something today that we participated in part.
Yeah, there's a I'm not going to name the place, but there's a place where our son used to work, and they routinely throw away perfectly usable good stuff in the dumpster out behind the store. So I check it once in a while.
Slightly damaged.
I found a perfectly good desk lamp several months ago there.
Yep.
I found a whole case of copier paper because the box was slightly scuffed.
And one of the things
had
coffee spelled
right.
on it, but the rest of the readings, the paper
thousands of pieces of
Yeah.
paper that I used just for whatever.
because they couldn't sell the individual reams, they had to be sold as part of a case.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this whole thing with
and-
cosmetically unappealing vegetables and fruits, this has been a bugaboo for many people for a long time. You're throwing away perfectly good food because it might not conform to the standards of the magazine ads, you know?
Yeah, I still love the phrase wonky fruits. I grasp the concept wonky. I remember getting carrots at one point that it was a carrot and then it had a small carrot growing off the side of the carrot.
Right.
Mutant carrots. But of course everybody knows about bananas and banana breads. And bananas themselves are best when they have slight freckling to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
They're at perfect ripeness when they begin to get those little brown dots on the outside.
Well, I have
Otherwise,
taken...
they're just too green.
Well, let me give you some updates about related note. Let me give you some updates about my ongoing adventures in this thing we call life. I have been trying to get off caffeine, okay, and I've worked my way down to just a little bit, and then I finally did 2 days without any caffeine at all,
And then Bonnie fucked it up.
and then I just couldn't. After 2 days with no caffeine, I got up and I was like, I just can't do it, but it's okay because I got by with just one simple cup of instant coffee powder coffee.
Until Bonnie fucked it up.
Well, we had
First
okay. I came home after 2 days with no caffeine, and I dead tired, and I had to sleep. I had been asleep about maybe 2.5 hours, and the lawn crew guys came over and started cutting the grass. Normally wouldn't be a problem because just the sound of the lawnmower is fine, but they were weed whacking right outside my window, and I actually dreamed that I was listening to somebody cut up a tree trunk. And I woke up and I'm like, oh God Almighty, and my sleep was fucked. And that night I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have some caffeine. And I got by with just the 1 cup of coffee. And I was like, yeah, you don't need 12 tea bags every goddamn night. You know, you can work your way to just where you can get by with less. The other thing I was going to say is, I've had a beard since Halloween. I've gotten into the habit of starting to grow a beard on Halloween and then cutting off on April 1st. So half the year is beardy. But
Big beard.
a couple of days ago, I decided I can't take it anymore. So I trimmed the whole thing off. And I came out of the bathroom. Bonnie saw me with no beard, and she goes, "Oh, who is this handsome stranger?"
Yes, that's what I said.
You did. Or good looking, one of the two.
So, you will come at me with the beard and like come at me from behind and from the side. I can't tell you how many times you stabbed me in the eyes with your beard this year. It's driven me nuts. And I was so grateful for the beard to go this year. Normally I love the fucking beard. It's all so manly and macho. And yeah, as long as you keep it not too beardy, more trimmed. And I was grateful to see it go. Because he would come in, I would be sitting down, and he would come in and tackle me with a kiss. And I'm like, oh God, beard in the eyes.
I remember being a little kid, and my dad would have like two days worth of beer. You know, just like, what do they call it, 5 o'clock shadow or something. And the bristles, these tiny little bristles, would be like iron, and you'd be like, ah. You want to get a hug, and you scrape the side of your face.
Oh God, yeah.
we need to take a little pause because I got some tea. I have got to have a drink of tea, so I'll be right back. Let me pause this thing. I'll tell you what, I'll just bring it with me.
Oh boy.
I'm walking into the kitchen now, and I am going to squeeze my tea bags out. Give me 1 second here. And I'm going to down this thing. Okay, here I go drinking the tea. All right. So, that makes 1 cup of tea and 1 cup of instant coffee.
For the day?
Well, not for the day, because earlier, before we went out for our errands today, I had 1 cup of instant coffee. Oh. We came home and took a couple hours nap and then got up. And so it's first, hopefully for the evening, that'll be it. I should be able to get by with just those 2. Because my body's gotten used to a much lower dosage of caffeine. Anyway,
I considered doing caffeine to wake me up a little bit, but I did not have a cup of caffeine before this. I had 1 this morning, gladly, but I was able to pass out a little bit before we went out. I just haven't been sleeping well because of the pain issues, and I'll get 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. And then at some point during the day, I'll just completely crash. And I'll wake up and all the ice packs that I have on me have melted.
Yeah. Well, so we went out today and ran several errands, but still didn't get everything done we wanted to get done or needed to get done. Maybe tomorrow we can do some stuff.
We did the recycling. We got the books. Thank you for getting those books, by the way. We also got Reed's deposit done. She had the accident, and I was looking over the tax information for her because I knew she'd need to know this, that, and the other, because she's at her limit for how much money she can be gifted tax-free every year.
Right.
And so I sent her an email that said specifically, apparently, if the payout had been larger than the amount she paid for it, it would be considered profit. But as long as the payout on the total loss of the car is less than what she paid, then it's not taxable income. And so she had bought the car for $3,400, I think, and she got like $2,400 almost. But we were shocked.
How old was that car?
2007.
And how long did she have it? 3 years?
No, a lot longer than that.
Really?
Yeah. And she bought it used, and she bought it with cash, and we bought it at a time she wasn't fully licensed. She still had her learner's permit, and so it had to be in your name. Anyway, so the check came to you, and we signed that over to her. But if she had that, if it had been a couple of years newer, it's possible she would have had to pay taxes on the difference, because the used car market now is so high in price that even a piece of junk like hers.
We got gas today for my car. We went out in my car.
Yeah.
And that's the most I've ever paid per gallon in my life. $3.50. I mean, I know other parts of the country are paying more, but
we have paid more in years past. But in the last 2 years, that's 3 years now? Yeah, we were down close to $230, and now we're at $350. I keep the receipts. I get the receipts on my desk, because I do everybody's books. And I got the receipts from week to week for Peter, or no, week from you, and then the next week from Peter, same place, and it was a 43-cent jump the week right before, the Friday before the war started, and then a week after that. 43-cent jump per gallon
right.
after the war started. And now it's gone up even more.
Well, I don't know.
This war is stupid as
I don't know. You know, a lot of people are like, every day I hear hopeful promises, hopeful talk from my fellow approximately left-wing people online. This is it. This is the final straw. America's finally going to turn their back on it. They're finally going to. No, they're not. Because there's a hardcore group of people in this country who don't care. They will suffer any hardship.
Just to own the land.
As long as it means, number one, pissing off the people they hate, which are minorities or liberals or
anyone with common sense and an embrace of modern science.
But then that's one part of it, and I haven't mentioned this other part as much, and I need to start mentioning it more and more. And it's much more relevant now with this so-called war. Is that there is a large contingent of fundamentalist Christians, mainly in America. I don't think it's that prevalent around the world. Maybe a little bit in England, of people who actually want things to get as bad as possible. Because when things get as bad as possible, then Jesus will have no choice but to come back and purge the world of all the people that they can't stand. And this war, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about people in the Army filing formal complaints because their commanding officers or their immediate supervisors are saying this war has been started by Trump specifically in order to bring about the end times. And they're crazy. All these people are crazy.
We have been in this war for less than 2 weeks, and we've already had 3 attacks here on U.S. soil. One was at the mayor's residence in New York City. One was at a school, a university yesterday. And then also the Temple synagogue attack. And I was reading the New York Times article about the synagogue attacker, and they said, motive is unknown. He is a naturalized citizen from Lebanon. I'm like, you are questioning this? And then I think the other 2 had claims to ISIS or some such nonsense. The thing is zealots don't need to act as a group. They act individually, on their own, of their own crazy internal timeline, the way that whatever resources they have, whether it's a car or actual, knowledge or a perfectly legally owned weapon, whatever. These zealots attack. And I mentioned to you earlier today, I said we have been going through a period of ersatz domestic terrorism for a while now. White, upset males in America have been acting out their anger issues against whatever injustice they feel they've come up against, or to promote some sort of agenda that they are, copacetic with. And we've been putting up with this for 15 years plus now. And I mean, this is just this war over there is going to come over here.
Yeah.
When 9/11 happened, there were additional attacks on the homeland here that most people seem to have forgotten. There was this one guy out at a military base who happened to be Muslim, and he was upset about the way the Muslims were being treated. And he went and opened fire at his base. There was a couple out in California that went and attacked some kind of community center. I remember at the time when it happened, my first thought was, oh great, another disaffected, enraged old white guy. No, it ended up being a Muslim couple. There was the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Also, somebody, again, taking out their religious frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that person, happened to be Muslim. I'm not saying that it's a Muslim thing. I mean, what happened with Bobby Kennedy's father was his name Sirhan.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Palestinian.
I thought he was Lebanese or Syrian.
I thought he was a Palestinian. He was upset, wasn't he?
I think he was Syrian. Pretty sure.
He was upset about
Something.
the geopolitics of whatever region he was from. Individuals can act out. There doesn't have to be some sort of mass meeting online, etc. Sure, people get worked up online and then they go out and, you know.
Well, I just thought of something.
Whatever.
I was going to mention this. When we were out today, we saw a car and it had a bumper sticker, and it was a drawing of Trump, sort of like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, and it was peeing on the word liberals,
Yeah.
which I think is just. But what I would like to talk to that guy and say, what is your motivation here? What is your actual political philosophy?
Now, you told me something interesting about the car itself.
The car itself, the inside of the car was completely full of old newspapers. It was unbelievable. They were sun faded and wrinkled and smooshed up and just
Some crazy old hoarder.
why? But I would like to know, what is it I mean, I like to ask him, not to make fun of the guy, but I really want to know, what do you think liberals are, and what do you think is so bad about liberals? And why do you think Trump is the answer to all your problems?
Yeah, a billionaire who's making billions off of the office that he's in. God. How does he think this guy is any way relatable? That would in any way care about his everyday problems or even acknowledge he has them? No, Trump would go and say, "Oh, there's not a problem with gas. Your food doesn't cost more."
But you know, a lot of the good things that we have established in this country were done by what you think are liberals, what so-called liberals. Public education isn't a bad thing, it's a good thing. Before the establishment of taxpayer-funded public education, the literacy rates in this country were abysmal. Public education has allowed millions of people to have a basic understanding of literature, of mathematics, of science, of history,
and to improve their lives.
Yes, it's not just. It's also about just a basic understanding of reality. There are other people in the world, and they don't look like you, and they don't sound like you, and they don't believe like you. And this isn't a bad thing. It's just the way things are.
When you go to a hospital, certainly you are dealing with people who have advanced education in the form of your doctors and most of your nurses and nurse practitioners. But the core of the hospital is comprised of people who have benefited from the public education system. And that includes the people that went on to the advanced degrees and got their MDs. The people who work in every single department have benefited from public education, and they have been able to get these jobs because they're able to read the labels, because they're able to parse the information, they're able to be trained to do certain things. There is a overall effect, positive effect for mass education, public education. And this movement right now that's been going on for the last 40 to 50 years to have this religious education for the purposes of keeping the blacks and the whites separate,
Well, that's
etc.
exactly what I was going to...
Well, look. They have been undermining education at its core level.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say, we're going to pick and choose what science we want to accept, that undermines it all. Look what's happened with brainworm Bobby right now and measles. The resurgence of measles in our society. And this is not some Amish community that's living in a small area and confined and keeps their ways to themselves. No. This is something that has an effect across all of society.
Well, I just saw something else. Another advantage of public education, or education in general. Sometimes it opens your eyes to another way of living, or another, like,
Critical thinking.
But I'm saying, like, you might be otherwise headed down the road to the same way of living that your father had and your grandfather had. We always did this, but you get to school and you're like, hey, there's this thing called acting. I could get into drama, into theater. Wow, I could get into music. There's these other career paths, other life paths that maybe you didn't know about. And, I've read many life stories of people, famous actors or painters or whatever. They didn't know about this. They wouldn't have known to get into that if they hadn't been exposed to it, through going to school. School isn't a bad thing. Just because science and reality just happens to have a left-wing bias doesn't mean you throw it out the window.
Left-wing bias? You mean they don't reject science?
Well, no, that's a famous phrase now. Sorry, but reality and science has a left-wing bias, meaning that the truth just doesn't jibe with your primitive belief. Exactly.
Well, another thing that's interesting about this war of less than 2 weeks is a talking point that's coming out. You're spending $1 billion a day to bomb these people back to the Stone Age, but we don't have $1 billion for universal health care, for education, for environmental protection, for basically changing over from peak oil to renewable, sustainable energy sources. You don't have money for the veterans that you're about to create, housing for them, care for them. This idiot in charge of the VA, one of our former state reps, he is going on and on about, oh no, the VA cuts are fine, they're good. No, they're not. There's even fewer services. Doctors and nurses are leaving, and general employees are leaving VA hospitals in droves now because they're so overworked, even more than they were before the reforms that Biden brought in. Yes, there were a number of reforms to bring up services under the VA by Biden. We're spending billions on this fucking war for what? Higher gas prices, which translate to higher food prices, because everything is transported. We don't make shoes here.
Well, there's a guy,
20-mile radius of me, or 50-mile or 100-mile radius. We don't make T-shirts. We don't make electrical wires or brake pads. It's got an effect that translates across. And we're looking at shipping, import, fuel costs going up, airline costs going up, everything going up because of this fucking stupid war that's being...
Well, it's an excursion, Bonnie.
It's
look, there's a guy named...
jerking Trump's chain.
There's a guy named Rick Wilson. If you haven't heard of him, he's got...
Lincoln Project affiliated?
Lincoln Project.
Former Republican?
Former Republican. Used to work for the Department of Defense. And he's turned against the Republicans. He's turned against Trump.
Trumper.
Right. Anyway, he pointed out recently, Trump is claiming that this is a preemptive war to stop Iran from doing terrorism or whatever. He said 9/11 was carried out by 24 people with just a couple $1,000s. The whole thing was done just with just comparatively few resources and few people. Iran has a population of 100 million people. Now, don't you think that as a result of what we're doing right now, that there's going to be a couple thousand young men ready, willing, and able to put together more 9/11s and willing to die for the cause. We're just stirring the pot. We're just, what's the phrase? Stirring up the hornet's nest,
Yeah.
It's just, this whole thing is stupid.
And Israel is bombing Lebanon. Israel is bombing all these different areas right now, in addition to Iraq. And that is making people more irritated.
Did you hear
And
what Lindsey...
Then you have the people of Iran who generally don't care for the Ayatollah and having to cover themselves and all that kind of bullshit. And you're destroying Isfahan and all these other grand historic sites that predate any fucking civilization here in America and that have endured for thousands of years. Not predate civilization, but, a lasting monument, etc. And you're pissing off these people by bombing their homes, killing their schoolgirls. For what? So you can distract from the fact that they abuse schoolgirls back here in the Trump Epstein files? Because that's what this is about. It's about playing nice with Israel. It's about drawing and deflecting, wagging the dog, drawing attention away from the fucking Epstein files.
Well, I haven't watched... Normally, when I get home from work, Bonnie and I watch the main clips from Colbert and Kimmel. We don't really watch Fallon so much anymore because he's usually... I like Jimmy Fallon.
Was he?
No, I like Jimmy Fallon, but his approach to Trump is a little more mild-mannered and doesn't want to really...
He fucking interviewed the guy.
But from what I've seen, he's taking a much harder tone with Trump now because of this war thing. I think that it's so severe, it's really getting to people who would, normally they don't want to get involved too much and they don't want to make too much of a fuss, but this is really pushing a lot of people over the edge.
So one of the things that Peter pointed out is that the AWACS system, it's this massive system. It's an interceptor system that sits on the ground's radar, and it's linked up to the type of weapons, missiles on mobile trucks, etc. They've moved it out, the one unit out of South Korea that they had there, because the two they had in this region were destroyed. This is massive money lost. It's massive tech loss. It's also allowing the South Koreans to become more vulnerable to North Korea, China, etc. This is costing us allies. This is costing us servicemen's lives and their health. We've already had nearly a dozen killed. We've had over 100 wounded. We've had military bases of ourselves and our allies hit. They fucked up. They fucked up so badly. They didn't even realize the Strait of Hormuz was as important of a shipping lane as it is for 20% of the world's petroleum.
This whole thing...
And this is Brent crude petroleum. This is the stuff that's good. This isn't the shit that we got in Venezuela, went over and broke international law by removing Maduro. No.
All right, we don't want to focus on just this shit for the whole show.
No.
All right, let's see what else is going on.
Ooh, we went to Trader Joe's today. We got some good stuff. We got dolmas and falafels. We
got some yellow curry flavored potato chips, and they're good, but it's bizarre. It's a strange flavor. I think it's the kind of thing that would go good with tomato soup because it's such a strong flavor.
Maybe.
Or maybe, something like that. What else did we do today? Oh, one of the things that Bonnie wanted to bring up. Oh, well, before we get to that, finished watching Slow Horses for the second time through. This is
third time for me.
Third time for Bonnie, second time for me watching the whole thing through. And
as of this week, Lance can now quote things from Coe.
Yeah.
Coe's become probably our favorite character because he's such an interesting psychopath.
He is. But So apparently, next season, the one that's coming up in the fall, they're bringing back Hugo Weaving, which I think is a bad idea. But on rewatching it, I
Suspect?
am hoping that the way they deal with him, I hope what I want to happen to him does happen, because then it will make it worth bringing him back. I'm not going to say anything about it for those who haven't seen the show, but anyway,
Hugo Weaving's character got himself into a bad fix.
we're not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Hoping that bad fix comes back to get him.
Right. Now, what I'm hoping does not happen, Bonnie predicted this, and she's probably right. They're probably going to have River Cartwright pretend to ally himself with Hugo Weaving and have to go through this training to dehumanize him and make him into a cold-blooded killer, and I really don't want to see that happen. You know.
The trope would be he would become disaffected, seemingly disaffected, and get so frustrated that he would put himself in a position where he's supposedly booted out of service, supposedly gets himself into a legal morass, and then has to go on the lam, and that's when his father would probably come along.
You're supposed to say that.
That's my guess as to what.
No, you said.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
That's what father.
Okay.
Hey.
Anyway, I'll put up a big spoiler notice on the description. All right. So that was good. What else has happened? You said you wanted to talk about our son probably moving out finally, and my taking over that end of the house.
So I spoke to Megan at length this past week.
That's our son's girlfriend / fiance.
And she said that they're moving to her grandparents' old place as soon as her grandparents finish their retirement home. She said that her grandfather's in the process of hiring someone to do the finish work. So I took that to mean, baseboards and the...
Is there a time frame on this?
In the next couple of months. And she's getting really excited. I asked her, if they were going to be registering somewhere, stuff like that.
She's getting excited.
Yeah, she's getting excited about it.
I've never seen her express any emotion other than...
She is quiet, but she can be very funny and very sweet. She's a very dear, darling girl.
She can be funny?
Yes, she can be. Very funny.
Okay.
And she is a very private, very quiet girl. And so we're thinking that Lance will be taking over Peter's bedroom, his den, and most likely pretty much that bathroom on that end for most of his activities when he's at that end of the house. So we'll probably modify a few things in there. And I think that the den, being the largest room, would make a great painting studio. It's got the highest walls, ceilings.
I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a process of trial and error like it always is.
The thing is that you have built-in shelves and a desk in Peter's room, his bedroom. The desk is more easily removed.
I really don't know what's going to happen.
The shelves, but you may find you need that desk space.
Well, it's just more space. That's the main thing. I'll have room to store paintings because I'm just about out of room on where I'm storing the paintings now. Now, what are we doing about possibly buying some shipping containers for storage?
We're going to wait until you figure out how you're best using this space. I don't want to jump the gun and get something unnecessarily. You can also sometimes buy things in multiples.
Because what I want to do is probably buy 2 of those storage containers and eventually clean out everything out of our old house and then have that whole place demolished.
Yes.
That's the goal here.
And see, it would be nice if we could have an area cleared out in the back on the old septic field area. It's a relatively level, and have the containers there.
Mm.
They're out of sight. They'll still need to be leveled. But another thing that your Uncle Leon has done is he took shipping containers and he spaced them apart the width of 10 feet or so, bought some 12-foot boards, and put some sort of roofing over it, over the space between.
Mm.
And he stores his tractor and things, his other vehicles under there. So he's got excess vehicles. So he created a little garage space. So we could utilize 2 containers and then put a roof between the 2 of them. Space them apart, put a roof over it, and then use part of that for storage for other things.
Yeah. And also,
because that barn is not going to last much longer.
I don't know.
I mean,
But,
that barn's been around
another
for 40 years.
Yeah, that was built in 81, maybe 80, 81, something like that. But the other thing I'm looking forward to is Bonnie and I, to a certain extent, are going to get back into some vegetable gardening this year, hopefully. Start modestly and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I've got a request in for somebody to come over and do the siding, clean the siding. And when he does that, he cleans the porches. So after he comes over and does that, I'm going to go ahead and lay out stuff for the back porch. And then we have a outside table beyond it. And I'm going to set up a tiered, like a step system. So we can do potted plants, potted vegetables out there. And then a little small setup to keep the deer out.
Are you going to use the raised area with the cinder blocks that you used a couple of years ago for gardening?
Not yet. That all has to be cleared out. What we need to do is use that as the confined burn pile.
Did we ever burn?
We have in the past, and then we've added things to that area.
Okay.
We don't put any type of household waste on it.
Oh, somebody's home.
Yep, Peter's home. You want to go ahead and hit pause, please?
All right, we're back. Our son just came home from work. Is it that late? My God, it is. It's after 8 o'clock. Oh, dear. Got a lot to do this weekend. I'm basically in the very early stages of a new painting, so that's not a big deal. When you're in the beginning of a painting, you can sort of take it easy. I've also got another maybe 10 pages to go, 9 pages to go on the newest issue of my magazine. This will be issue number 40 of my online magazine. And in many ways, it's going to be the best one ever. What else is going on this weekend?
We are going to go to Lowe's and get some shelving.
Right. Oh, I know something I wanted to do. I'd like to go probably to the big library and get some children's books, illustrated children's books to look at. What's up?
Just if we're going to the big library, I'd like to drop by Walls of Books. Be fun.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, we can try that. Maybe we can do that when we go get the shelves. Yeah.
I've got the card on me, too.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just see what happens. Just have to work all this around my sleep, and Peter, does it look like it's going to rain or anything, or is it windy? I keep hearing noises.
It's supposed to. The weather has been
I
crazy.
think it'll warm up in the morning.
Okay. I'm about to pass out now.
You want to go ahead and call it quits for the night then?
No, let's see what's. Well, we are right at an hour. I thought there was more shit we had to talk about. War, decrepitude, temperature, work, slow horses, music, Peter moving, and related. That was it. There's a novelist named Wright Morris. I read a couple of his books. I have to reread those at some point. I don't know.
Who brought that up?
I have it written on my card, that's all. Anything else you want to say?
No, no.
I'm very disappointed. This has been one of our more boring episodes.
Well, I'm sorry.
Uh,
All right.
is that
Grab that, please, Peter.
okay? All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye.